And we're here today to do a virtual resource fair to talk about the different resources and work that is being done in the Puna area and island-wide. I appreciate all of our partners coming together this afternoon in sharing, and I'm sure as we move along, we'll get more and more people to join us. I just want to remind everyone that this is being recorded and it will be posted at various social media sites so that people can go back to and reference back to. So I appreciate everybody taking the time. I don't want to take too much of your time. I do want to go ahead and introduce our first presenter. Thanks, Zoe. So Neighborhood Place of Puna. We have Joe from a community outreach worker who will be sharing information about their programs and the work that they do in the Puna community. So take it away, Joe.
Thank you, Sharon. I appreciate this time to share some of the programs offered by the Neighborhood Place of Puna. Currently, we offer 3 programs. The first of which is the Family Resource Center, which supports families with parenting education, housing navigation, and concrete supplies. Concrete supplies include monthly diapers, wipes, clothing, hygiene kits, and other requests made by our members. We are highly dependent on donations, so it often depends on what we have in stock. But we do our best to procure items to meet our members' essential needs. We also manage the Hali'iki Family Assessment Center, or Emergency Shelter for Families. Hali'iki is actually reserved for families with minor children or pregnant mothers, families at risk of homelessness and fleeing a domestic violence situation. And the benefits of Hali'iki is that it provides a safe place for families while connecting to resources to get them permanently housed. So they are partnered with housing navigators to help connect them to resources. Lastly, we also participate in the ERAP program that is also offered by other agencies to help with rental and utility assistance for those impacted by COVID. So to apply for any of our programs, you can visit our website listed here, neighborhoodplaceofpuna.org. And it's a pretty user-friendly website. So you'll see the programs at the top. Select the program you'd like to apply for. One or all are welcomed. And if you have any questions, please feel free to email or visit our website for more information.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you for sharing. And next on our list is Wendy Schwartz from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. So Wendy.
Hi, pleasure to be with you all tonight. I'm a clinical social worker at the Department of Veterans Affairs. Next slide, please. I'm just going to present some information about the services that we have to offer, how to access them. And within the slides, there are links to different websites to visit. So there are actually three different branches of the VA. We have the Veterans Health Administration, the Veterans Benefits Administration, and then the National Cemetery Administration. So on this island, we have 2 community-based outpatient clinics, one in Hilo, one in Kona, and then we have 2 vet centers, also in Hilo and Kona, and a VBA, a Veterans Benefits Office, located downtown at the Federal Building. Next slide, please. Yep. If you've never registered for healthcare at the VA, this is the instructions on how to register for care if you believe that you're eligible for care as a veteran. You're going to also need a copy of your DD-214, so you complete an application and submit a copy of your DD-214 either to this email address or you can come into our clinic at 45 Moho'uli Street, and staff there can assist you in completing all of the paperwork needed to register. You can also apply online. If you're just in need of a new appointment with us, please feel free to call our clinic and your call would be routed to the appropriate clinic for scheduling. Or if you want to talk to the telephone advice nurse, we have information about how to call her as well. Next slide, please. So we offer primary care services, mental health care, including specialty care services. We have a housing program for chronically homeless veterans, which is HUD-VASH. It's a collaboration between the VA and HUD. We also have an intensive case management program that provides intensive case management services for veterans diagnosed with serious mental illness. And there's a homeless outreach component to that program as well. We offer specialty care services, pharmacy, whole health services, which are Tai Chi, yoga, different types of whole health programs. We have chaplaincy services, as well as many other programs tailored to each veteran and their needs. Next slide, please. And then the Veterans Benefits Administration, as I mentioned, there's an office located downtown. You can book time to see the counselor there. I have the number here for the education call center if you're inquiring about education benefits. And then the number for the vocational rehabilitation program, which is housed out of Oahu, but we also have a counselor here for that program downtown at the benefits office. Next slide, please. Actually, VBA is hosting a virtual benefits workshop on Thursday, October 28th, and they're going to provide all the information about how to access VBA services. Next slide, please. These are just a bunch of resources. We have the Veterans Crisis Line available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Also text options and a chat option. Next slide, please. Make the connection, stories of hope and resilience of veterans throughout the United States on all different eras. Next slide, please. VA Save training is how to talk to people who are experiencing crisis. It's a very short 20-minute training. Next slide, please. Coaching into care, how to talk to your family members, friends who are veterans, who you're hoping to get them into care. Here's a resource to be able to do that. Another option to show veterans that you care, the Be There Prevention Initiative. Next slide, please. Then we have two different toolkits, a social media toolkit and a lethal means safety toolkit, which talks about how to talk to people in crisis and how to respond to social media posts that would indicate that somebody is in crisis. Next slide, please. You can skip over this one. And then how to get in contact with us on social media. Thank you all so much for your time. My phone number is on the next. Please feel free to reach out to me with any questions or concerns.
Thank you, Wendy. And I just want to add that these slides will be available following the meeting this evening. So we'll have that available so you don't need to quickly take notes and miss out on information. So again, thank you for sharing. Appreciate it. Okay, next up, Julie Mitchell. And I know we're a couple of minutes ahead, Julie, and I know you have lots to share around this program. So you can take it away.
Aloha, thanks so much for joining us this evening. My name is Julie Mitchell. I'm the Executive Director with Kuikahi Mediation Center, and I'm actually going to be talking about a statewide program in Puna. It's going to be related to Kuikahi Mediation Center, and if there's anyone here from West Hawaii, we'll be referring you to West Hawaii Mediation Center. It's a joint program, so I want to share about the whole island. So the free landlord-tenant eviction mediation program came about after the state eviction moratorium ended. That was on August 6th, due to a new law called Act 57. Next slide, please. And this new law states that tenants needed to be offered the opportunity for mediation when they're served with a 15-day eviction notice for non-payment of rent. So the law changed due to COVID and legislatures wanting to prevent the courts from being overwhelmed with eviction cases. So they changed the law from a 5-day notice to a 15-day notice for 1 year from the expiration of the eviction moratorium ending in the state of Hawaii. Next slide. So when a tenant gets their 15-day eviction notice, what should you do? Contact the nearest mediation center as soon as possible. So in East Hawaii, that would be Kuikahi at 935-7844 extension 8. And in West Hawaii, that would be 664-0991. And landlords must immediately email the appropriate mediation center with the 15-day notice. That means that at the same time you give the notice to your tenant, you need to give it to the mediation center as well, because we have a very strict timeline under which we have to schedule mediations and conduct the mediations. And these are the emails: landlord-tenant@hawaiimediation.org for Kuikahi and ksims@whmediation.org for West Hawaii. Next slide, please. So if the tenant does not contact the mediation center and schedule the mediation session within the 15 days from the date of notice, the landlord can then move forward with the eviction, meaning they can file in court. We do provide a letter stating that mediation has or hasn't happened to the landlord and the tenant, so everyone knows the status of what's going on. And then after 30 days from the date of the notice, which is when our aim is to have the mediation done by, the landlord can then begin filing for eviction in court. Now, the judge does have the discretion once the case gets to court to refer back to mediation. We don't want you to count on that though, because it's up to each judge's discretion and each case is specific. So please contact us as soon as possible if you get a notice. Next slide. So once the mediation session is scheduled, the landlord and the tenant will get emails from us letting you know date of the mediation, time of the mediation, and we'll give you a Zoom link to let you know where you're going to go for the mediation, because right now we're holding most of our mediations virtually. So what do you need to be on Zoom? Well, most of us are here on Zoom, so we know you have to have some kind of device that allows you to hear, see, and you have to have enough bandwidth, which many of us don't. I live in a neighborhood without great bandwidth, to be able to Zoom. If you don't have that, we do open our devices here at the office for people to be able to come in to mediate if needed, so that you can not be prevented from mediating because you don't have the right equipment. Next slide, please. Okay, how do people prepare for mediation? So if you're a tenant or a landlord, you want to reach out to one of the emergency rental assistance providers. We're going to hear from Jeff Gilbreth next, and he's going to talk about how you do that. That is a big part of this mediation program, is connecting people up with rental assistance, which there is a lot of right now. You may want to talk to an attorney. So Legal Aid Society of Hawaii is able to assist tenants, and think about what is it you want out of this mediation. Do you want to stay? Do you want to go? What are your plans? And you may want to talk with a financial counselor to see what you can and cannot afford going forward. And you also might want to think about, okay, if I can't stay here, where else might I live? Next slide, please. So how will we do the mediation? We are going to email out everybody a confidentiality agreement so people understand that mediation is private, and communications that happen in mediation cannot be shared in further legal proceedings. We can give an interpreter if English is not someone's first language. Generally, our mediations are scheduled for 1.5 hours. It could go a little shorter, it could go a little longer. And we usually start out all together. We talk about what mediation is going to be. We ask everyone to give some short introductions about what brought them to mediation, and then we talk to people privately, and then at the end we come back together and discuss next steps, including writing up a mediation agreement if we have a meeting of the minds. And if for some reason there are safety issues or things like that, we can have everybody be all in separate sessions. So we want everyone to feel secure participating, however that works for you. Next slide. So what do we do in mediation? We ask a lot of questions to understand the situation. Like, have you folks applied for rental assistance? If yes, why? If no, why not? What is the current finances? What are your current finances looking like? Okay, your unemployment stopped, so how are you making ends meet? Do you see yourself being in a different situation going forward? Did you just get a job, or did you just qualify for Section 8? And do you want to stay where you're living now? Next slide, please. So the job of the mediator is help people talk and listen, to explore options and to find their own best solutions. That's really important. In mediation, the participants are the decision makers. In court, the judge makes the decision for you. So we are here to help people negotiate what they want to do. We are impartial third parties, meaning we're not on anyone's side, we're on everyone's side. Next slide, please. So we're going to ask a bunch of questions more, especially the landlord. Hey, so what's the most important thing to you? Do you want to get the back rent? Do you want to have the tenant move out and risk never getting the back rent? Hey, what was your relationship like with your landlord or your tenant before mediation? Is it worth keeping them if they can come current? Do you want to renew the lease with the tenant? It can be a lot of money and time and energy to run applications and to go through that whole process, not to mention having a potential vacancy for a month or two while you have that turnover. Are you open to reducing some or part of the rent? If they left, would you waive some of all of the back rent? So we're really into exploring options with folks. Next slide. So mediation agreements are as variable and as creative as the people there. So there's no standard one agreement. So a variety of terms can be explored in mediation, such as, these are just 3 possible examples that are by no means everything that can happen in mediation. So we agree that we are going to work together for rental assistance. If we get it, then this will happen. If we don't get it, then this will happen. Maybe the tenant will create a payment plan so they can cover some of all the back rent that's owed if they don't qualify for rental assistance. Or maybe they'll decide, hey, we're good with we're good with ending our connection to each other. We're going to agree on a move out plan, and we're going to waive some or all of the back rent owed. We're going to discuss what's going to happen with the security deposit. So we can talk about as many issues as the clients bring to us, both from the landlord side and the tenant side. Next slide, please. So the mediation agreement, the whole idea behind Act 57 is keeping the landlord and the tenant out of court, preventing evictions in court, and helping landlords and tenants decide what they want to do on their own without having a judge to have to decide. Next slide. So what are the benefits of this mediation program? Well, number 1, it's free, no cost to participate. It can preserve or help rekindle the relationship that was had before COVID between the landlord and tenant. Like I mentioned, mediation is not like going to court. It's informal. It's a lot less scary. It can save time and money and energy from court filings. It's safe. It's private. People are in charge of their own decisions. The mediators are there to help. They're impartial. They can help negotiate. They can help people who are feeling a little bit scared or unsure of what they want to do, kind of think about that. And you can avoid court, you can avoid eviction if at all possible. Next slide. And so this free landlord tenant eviction mediation program, who you want to contact is the mediation center where the rental unit is located. So where the tenant is living. So in East Hawaii, that's going to be Kuikahi Mediation Center. And we've got our contact information here. Our website is hawaiimediation.org. And in West Hawaii, you would be contacting West Hawaii Mediation Center, and their website is whmediation.org. And we both have dedicated pages specifically around this program. So thanks so much for having me tonight. And please get in touch if you need help as a landlord or as a tenant. We'll be happy to assist you. Aloha.
Thanks, Julie, for sharing. You prevented me from sending you signals. So next up, because I want to make sure we stay on track, we have Jeff Gilbreth from Hawaii Community Lending to share about the work they're doing to help the county administer the emergency rent and utilities assistance program here on Hawaii Island. So, Jeff.
Mahalo, Sharon. It's great to be here sharing this information with you folks. This first slide really tells you what you need to know, that there's grants out there for rent, utilities, rental deposits, even temporary motel stays if you're displaced for low-income renters across the island. Can be impacted by COVID directly or indirectly. And there are a number of different languages that we're providing assistance to. As you go to our website, you will see this is the landing page. You click on whichever language you need assistance in, and there will be a prompt as to who you can contact at one of our partners to gain access to the program. But if you can continue on for me, Zoe, next slide. This program is really focused on getting dollars out the door for all the purposes that I shared about right now through the end of December. There will be another tranche of funds that come and will be available through the end of September 30, 2022. But for now, these are the funds we have available to get out the door, and we need your help in making sure families know and you know to apply for assistance. If I can have you continue on for me, Zoe. an overview of the program, what I'll say is that this is a demonstration of a public-private partnership that works. The county has reached out to 7 on-island nonprofits that are all processing applications to help get money to families as fast as possible. We have 6 nonprofits taking applications, processing and paying out checks. These funds right now, we can assist all the way back from March 2020 through December 2021. And we cannot provide more than 15 months of assistance, and that includes assistance paid from other federal relief programs. We do have housing stability services. So not only do we have grants, but we have housing navigators. We have folks who are providing legal services at legal aid and financial counseling at financial empowerment centers, all to help stabilize families facing eviction. And again, the program is set to stay open, accepting applications through June 30th, 2022. If you can continue on for me, Zoe. Who can apply? I want you to know, if you are struggling to pay rent, you're still on time, but you are struggling or you're past due, you should apply for this program. Households complete 1 application with one of our nonprofit partners, and you're only eligible to receive assistance from one of our nonprofits. So no need you apply to 6 different places thinking you're going to go faster. You just apply to one and they can take you through the process. The hardship now, previously the program required it had to be due to COVID directly. Now other indirect financial hardships are applicable. So that may mean that somebody in your household has had to increase taking care of the children, and as a result has created a hardship on the family. This would apply in this situation. Payments do not go to the tenant directly. It goes to the landlord, the property manager, the utility company. Continue on for me. Housing stability services. So on our website, they are active and live now. So you will find in the next bit here this week, so probably the next time you click on to the website, you will have access and be able to understand who to contact and for what services. Again, housing navigators to help you find affordable places to rent, or maybe that temporary stay at a motel until things slow down and you can find a place. Free legal services and assistance through our financial empowerment centers. Continue on, Zoe. So these are the partners. The Hawaii Community Lending sits right in the center, and we have all types of partners on the outside. There's lots of acronyms here, but what you should know is that there are all of these nonprofits working on behalf of you, the families of Hawaii Island, to be able to access this assistance. Don't disqualify yourself. We're all here to help, and look at the number of different nonprofits that are assisting with this process. Continue forward, Zoe, for me. This provides you a document checklist. So if you go to Hawaii County ERAP.org, the first thing you can click on is a documents checklist. This tells you all the documents that we're going to need to be able to help you apply for assistance. At the top, you'll see, based on how many persons are in your household, this is the maximum amount of annual income in order for you to qualify. Note that all the income documents we're going to need from all household members who are adults and have those documents so we can take you through the process. Oftentimes the biggest issue that we have is that folks don't have a complete document set, and we have to do follow-ups. So it's critical, if you go to our website, again, Hawaii County ERAP.org, you can click documents checklist and be ready as you apply with our partners. Next slide, please. If you click where to apply, you'll have a list of the 6 nonprofit partners who are working hard in the trenches every day for our families, taking applications, trying to get funds over to utility companies and landlords. You don't have to have a computer, folks. You can go to those physical addresses and pick up an application. You can call those numbers and fill out an application by phone. So if you know someone, you're accessing this video online and you know someone who doesn't have access, let them know there are options if you don't have access to online. If you do have online, you click on one of those links, you can complete the application online, or you can email folks to get more information. If you can continue on, please, for me, Zoe. That's the website. We highly encourage you folks to apply. Again, don't disqualify yourself. We're seeing more folks apply. Even if you're struggling to pay rent and you're still current, we can pay 3 months in advance for you folks if you haven't exceeded your monthly assistance. Next slide. And these are our partners. So we really appreciate the opportunity to speak with you folks. We hope you'll get in touch with us. Remember, hawaiicountyerap.org. Mahalo.
Thank you, Jeff, for sharing. And so next we have Kelsey Wandell from the County Office of Housing, who will be sharing about the launch of our financial empowerment centers here on Hawaii Island. So Kelsey.
Hi everyone. Thank you all for being here. Today we're excited to announce that residents of the Big Island can now access Hawaii County's newest public service, the County of Hawaii Financial Empowerment Center. The Financial Empowerment Center is a collaboration between the county, the Cities for Financial Empowerment, Hawaiian Community Assets, and Hawaii First Federal Credit Union. Next slide, please. To give you a little background, the Financial Empowerment Center model has operated for 12 years and across 23 operational centers has worked with more than 123,000 clients, helping them reduce debt by more than $171 million and increasing savings by $30 million. Professionally trained FEC counselors help consumers manage their finances, pay down debt, increase savings, establish and build credit, and access safe and affordable mainstream banking products. At the core, the FEC model is the integration of counseling into other social services, including housing and foreclosure prevention, workforce development, prisoner reentry, benefits access, domestic violence services, and more. Next slide, please. We know that financial issues can be complicated, and sometimes people need to sit down one-on-one with a professional to get help. So here's how the Financial Empowerment Center would work. An applicant would schedule an appointment with a counselor, receive a follow-up call to get notified of what documents may be needed for their initial session. At their initial session, they would work with their counselor on creating a service plan, then continue working with their counselor until they achieve their goals. All appointments and sessions can be in person, virtually, or over the phone. Next slide, please. Here are some examples of service plans and outcomes. It can be as simple as opening up a bank account and teaching you how to use it, to establishing a credit score for those that have none, or increasing credit score for those that do. Counselors can help to reduce your debt and delinquent accounts, and also teach you how to start saving income for your future. Next slide, please. To request an initial appointment with any of our certified financial empowerment counselors, you can go to the following websites, or you can call our service providers directly. Hawaiian Community Assets phone number, 808-934-0801, and Hawaii First Federal Credit Union, is 808-933-6600. Next slide, please. Lastly, I would like to introduce to you our FEC team. As previously mentioned, the county has partnered with Hawaiian Community Assets and Hawaii First Federal Credit Union to be our counseling providers. We have Robin, who is the FEC manager for Hawaiian Community Assets, and who is also a financial counselor along with Shade. Then we have Chelsea, who is the FEC manager for Hawaii First Federal Credit Union, who will also be a financial counselor along with Nani and Keala. And I'm currently the government manager representing the county. Next slide, please. So this is the end of my PowerPoint, and I would like to thank you all so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Kelsey, for sharing. So this ends the formal presentations from our resources. We have a couple of minutes to open it up if anybody has any general questions they would like to ask any of the presenters. You can either put it in the chat or you can unmute yourself and we can we can answer those questions. Okay. I see people coming on and off. So my screen is changing. So I just want to make sure everybody's okay. Okay, hearing none, I just want to add our thank you also to Hawaii Community Foundation for supporting. I see Diane Chadwick on the call for supporting the launch of the FEC through our grant. So appreciate, hi Diane, appreciate you and your team in helping us launch this very good project here on Hawaii Island. So we look forward to great outcomes. Okay. I see no hand raised. We're good. We're actually ahead of schedule, Zoe.
Yes, we are. Thank you so much, Sharon, and to all of our presenters. That was really wonderful. And I'm so excited to see how these resources spread to people and throughout the community.